There is so much that has changed in the landscape of cinema since the release of the first Avatar movie. Primary of those has been the unprecedented rise of the superhero movie, mostly thanks to the MCU. When you take a look at the whole picture year by year, superhero movies still make up a small fraction of the overall movies made per year, but we feel them so much more because they are the ones with the biggest budgets and making several times the amount of other movies combined. So it's specifically the big budget type movie that I want to focus on today, and why I think it's the perfect time for Avatar 2. Let me answer a couple things right away. Do I like superhero movies? Of course. Between 2010 to 2019, they were my favorite type of movie to go see at the theater. Do I think they will go away? No way. They still make so much money to go away in the foreseeable future. But I think it has ended up causing more harm to how these big budget movies are made than ever before. See, when it comes to Marvel Studios, by the time Avatar 2 comes out this December, we will be 30 movies into the MCU. Just think of that number, 30 movies. When Avatar first released, there was only 2 MCU movies. We are at a point where we get about 3 to 4 movies from them per year. It's insane. And they aren't the only studio guilty of this, but they are by far the most successful. I mean, at the time of recording, they are 29 movies in and have made $27 billion at the box office, more than any other franchise in history. In turn, it has made most other studios want to emulate them when it comes to their big budget movies. The MCU pioneered the interconnected franchise, so a lot of other studios attempted that to mix results. And the speed at which Marvel makes their movies is another aspect studios have tried to emulate. These 2 reasons are why I think in the end it has hurt how big budget movies are made. See, in my opinion, no one takes their time with the movies at this budget anymore. The studios want to get them out as soon as possible to make the most profit as soon as possible. And if they make one that is successful, everyone is now spawning franchises and quickly fast-tracking those sequels with set release dates right away. But I have said, even during the time that I was invested in the MCU during the Infinity Saga, at this amount of movies in, what we are seeing aren't films, but big budget episodes to the most expensive TV show we have ever seen. Before we see the newest one, we are already thinking about the next 3 they have announced to release. I don't feel we get the proper time in between movies anymore, and it has really cut down on any potential technical pioneering these movies could have made, or just time each movie gets in development in general. We are seeing reports of so many CGI artists complaining about the MCU's unrealistic demands and claiming they have the worst VFX management out there. Once again, this isn't isolated to just the MCU, but because they are the studio pumping out the most at the fastest rate, they are a bigger piece of that problem. We have noticed it in the quality of the CGI, especially in this Phase 4 of the MCU. But I believe the general audience has finally started to make their discontent known where it matters most, the box office. Some poor reviews aside, out of the past 12 months, only 1 out of the 6 MCU movies crossed the $1 billion mark, and that was Spider-Man No Way Home, which was a co-production with Sony Studios and relied heavily on the nostalgia of past Spider-Man movies. So how does all this benefit Avatar 2 and its other sequels? Well, it has been 13 years since the first, so they have been able to do everything opposite of these recent blockbusters. The first movie's biggest complaint was the story, and just for the story of these sequels, James Cameron took 1 whole year just to write 1,500 pages of notes detailing every aspect of Pandora and its future, in order to use that information to craft the sequel movies. So he brought in other writers and they used those notes for 5 months, 8 hours a day to completely map out the path of these next 4 movies. But that is not all. They then went and got all the way to finalize scripts for each of those 4 movies before cameras even started rolling on Avatar 2 and 3. No big budget movie is taking this kind of time on development, let alone just for the story. Then, instead of resting on his previous accomplishments with the pioneering of performance capture and making it easier, he decided to perfect a whole new way of using performance capture, this time underwater. And that's only the first new technological breakthrough we have seen specifically for Avatar 2, let alone further sequels. And it's not like the budget for these is that much more than your typical superhero movie, they are on par. But I guarantee they will look many times better and set a new bar for the next decade of filmmaking. That's the benefit of time. Each film can truly shine, truly stand out, and stand alone. See, these sequels will be part of an epic family saga, but they have also been promised to stand alone. I hope one day Hollywood goes back to giving these big movies the proper time to develop. Not only will that benefit the movie itself, but anyone working on it, VFX artists, directors, etc. This year could be a really important one to work back towards that. Top Gun Maverick was a sequel 36 years later, but it has resonated in 2022 more than any other movie, including these superhero movies, claiming the current crown of box office king for 2022 at $1.2 billion at time of this recording, and climbing. And also being the only movie of the year so far to cross $1 billion at the box office. Not Doctor Strange 2, not Jurassic World, and it's looking like not Thor Love and Thunder. And this was a movie that took its time, and did offer something unique with them shooting these action scenes in real F-18s. If Avatar 2 later this year can also reach those heights, then it proves that the only thing these big movies sometimes need is something that doesn't require money. Just time.